Donald Trump set to face a federal judge today and the 4 new felony counts filed against him for his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. The former president thanking his supporters for standing by him in the face of what he's slamming as an unprecedented indictment for what prosecutors describe as a criminal scheme to hang on to power after the last election. Special counsel Jack Smith says he wants to see a trial as soon as possible. But with the rapidly approaching election, Mr. Trump's attorneys indicating their defense will rely on the First Amendment.
It's the first time that a sitting president is attacking a political opponent on First Amendment grounds and basically making a criminal to state your position and to engage in political advocacy.
I've got to give you a little time out on that one because, of
we've
course,
never seen that before.
Well, the indictment specifically says that the president has a First Amendment right to speech.
Yes.
He even has a First Amendment right to lie. It says it right here.
Absolutely.
This indictment is criminalizing conduct, not speech.
No, it's criminalizing speech for this reason. What the president saw in the 2020 election was all these irregularities going on. He had every right to comment on that.
Overnight, Mr. Trump's former Attorney General, Bill Barr, who has been critical of the former president since leaving office, saying the First Amendment will not protect the former president, but adding that he believes Mr. Trump knew he lost the election.
At first, I wasn't sure, but I have come to believe that he knew well that he had lost the election.
Central to the plot outlined by prosecutors was an alleged effort by Mr. Trump and his co-conspirators, including attorneys Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman, to pressure Vice President Mike Pence to set aside the lawful vote count on January 6th, which Pence repeatedly refused to do.
I dismissed it out of hand, but sadly, the president was surrounded by a group of crackpot lawyers that kept telling him what his itching ears wanted to hear.
Pence now challenging his former boss for the 2024 GOP nomination. Mr. Trump firing back on social media, saying he feels badly for Pence, suggesting his campaign has struggled because, quote, he didn't fight against election fraud. Other rivals largely standing by the GOP frontrunner, including Florida's Ron DeSantis, who says Mr. Trump can't get a fair trial in overwhelmingly Democratic Washington, D.C.
A D.C. jury would indict a ham sandwich and convict a ham sandwich if it was a Republican ham sandwich.
A D.C. jury would be just the most recent and most pressing of Mr. Trump's many legal problems. The former president now on track to face at least 3 different trials in 3 different jurisdictions in the coming election year. Hoda?
All right, Garrett. Also, security top of mind. What are the preparations like there?
Yeah, Hoda, significant security preparations seen and unseen here at the federal courthouse. Overnight, court officials and police put out metal barricades, pushing back the distance between the courthouse and the public here. We saw K-9 units out on the street yesterday and more police from different jurisdictions arriving to help lock down this federal courthouse. It all comes after a pretty scary scene yesterday, just 2 blocks up the road on Capitol Hill, where police responded to reports of an active shooter in a Senate office building. It led to quick evacuations, lockdown, staffers being taken out of a building at the point of a gun as police searched through these Senate office buildings. Ultimately, they found no shooter, and that 911 call is now under investigation. But just a tense and scary scene ahead of a busy day here today where folks are hoping for a much calmer environment than what we saw at the last arraignment in Miami.
Yeah.
Hoda?
All right, Garrett Haake for us there at the courthouse. Garrett, thank you.
And joining us now, NBC News legal analyst Danny Cevallos. Hi, Danny. Good morning. You know, a big issue, we're going to do this arraignment. It's pretty pro forma. An issue that's going to come up pretty quickly is when this trial date will be set. The prosecutor has said, we're ready to go. We want a speedy trial. As you and I both know, it's the defendant's right to the speedy trial. How do you think these issues will play out, whether or not we're going to see a trial before the election?
You're exactly right. The Speedy Trial Act is supposed to benefit the defendant, a defendant who, say, is being held in jail and wants his trial to come forward and wants the government to put up or shut up. But in long-ranging federal investigations like this, the Speedy Trial Act actually benefits the government, because I would bet that Jack Smith is ready to go to trial tomorrow on this case. Meanwhile, the defense hasn't gotten one stitch of discovery yet. And when you had that terrific interview yesterday with Trump's defense attorney, he pointed that out. They do need time to review documents. And another big time part of this is going to be motions. Motions to dismiss by the defense based on the constitutionality of these charges and whether or not this judge decides to allow, even if she denies them, decides to allow them to go up on appeal before trial.
So it's the defense has a right to say, let's slow it down, let me get discovery. The government can't force a trial in 70 days.
In a way, the defense has a right to a speedy trial. The defense does not have a right to the opposite of a speedy trial. The defense does not have the right to delay. And that is particularly true in federal court, where criminal dockets move like rockets. They move very quickly.
And a lot of this falls to the judge. And already we're seeing some of Trump's allies saying, OK, this judge is an Obama-appointed judge. She's been super tough on some of these January 6th defendants. In these federal cases, the judges are literally turned. It's almost like a wheel. You get assigned at random.
Exactly.
For example, down in Florida, you had a Trump-appointed judge.
A great spin of the wheel in Florida.
Right. So it's like, that's just how it goes. But how might that play out, especially when the defense is also suggesting, Donald Trump saying, maybe we should do a change of venue and move this case to West Virginia?
Yeah, that motion will be denied. And really, with this defendant, he's unique in that you can look at election results and get an idea about how every federal district feels about Donald Trump. It's very interesting if you look at 2016 and 2020. We've never had that with any other defendant. But that being said, I don't see a judge denying a motion for a change of venue. Those are very hard to win. Yes, this is the most unique defendant ever, but I still think this case stays in D.C. And look, maybe this is a defense attorney speaking, but when it comes to saying that this particular judge may be harsh in sentencing, you could make an argument that all federal judges are harsh in sentencing because the sentencing guidelines call for some pretty stiff penalties for federal crimes. That's just the way it's always been.
All right, Danny, thank you very much. At a programming note, NBC News will bring you live coverage of this afternoon's arraignment on these stations.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.